We are live right out of WrestleMania 39. Is that right? Oh, yeah, there it is 39.
WrestleMania 39, Doug, night one
Night
of
one.
WrestleMania
Night
39. And
one.
boy, did we call it. We said probably around midnight. It's midnight.
Around midnight. Yep.
WrestleMania 39, night one is ended. We're going to go match by match, Doug, and talk about the whole thing. But before we get into those spoiler territories, just in general, a good opener, I think, for WrestleMania night one.
Absolutely.
Night two's got
Absolutely.
some stuff to live up to.
Yes, it does.
I will say that I tuned in late to this morning's
What?
Stand and Deliver pre-show, and
Uh,
when I tuned in, there was a match going on, and I was disappointed. Like, oh man, they had a pre-show match. So I watched 2 whole hours of the WrestleMania kickoff. No matches.
no
So
matches.
no matches. I like this year's Oscar stage. What'd you think of the setup of WrestleMania?
I like the setup. It looks so huge. Of course, it is a huge stadium. Well, there's like 80,000 plus people in there. I mean, it just looked very grand, like WrestleMania should look.
And then there was the host situation. I thought we were getting Miz and Maurice, but apparently Miz is married to Snoop Dogg, and I didn't know it.
I'm not sure what was going on there, but I don't understand why WrestleMania needs a host. But whatever.
Well, we'll get into why it needed at least one host here in a minute. But I'm with you. Good night, good opener. A couple of show stealers. I think we got to me, like the women's match was. Oh my gosh, that women's match! But
It was until it, yeah.
yeah. Maybe some surprises too in the order of things. We'll get into that here in a moment as well. But by far, folks, if you didn't see it and were on the fence as to whether or not you need to pony up for that Peacock subscription, what's wrong with you? It's WrestleMania.
Right, come on, it's WrestleMania. I think I have like a $4 subscription or something insane like that.
Yeah, it's like literally less than the fees used to be on your pay-per-views. So you got to go watch
This is
WrestleMania.
so
And the
true. I
crowd,
mean, WrestleMania once upon a time was what, like 50, $60 for us to get.
yeah, ridiculous. But now 4 solid hours, and the crowd stuck with it too. Give it up for
Yes,
that
they
LA
did.
crowd.
Yes, they did.
Let's get into some spoiler territory. We'll go match by match.
Let's
Fans,
do
if
it.
you watched, follow along with us. Let us know what you thought.
Oh, I have notes.
Got notes. All right,
Okay,
me
look at
too.
that.
Look
Notes.
at you. He
I
was
know it's
awake,
like
folks.
it's almost. I took a nap so I could watch all the WrestleMania and took
You
notes so
better.
I wouldn't forget things because we don't
So,
want my brain balls getting all confused again.
what did your brain balls think of Austin Theory versus John Cena as your opener? Because I guess it's weird to see John Cena as an opener
It,
20 years after he opened WrestleMania against Big
so
Show.
yeah, my notes here say big name opener. Nice touch. I get it. We're getting him in there, kind of a. It's not necessarily a passing of the torch, but big money John, big. What is it? JBL calls him big game John, big whatever it is,
Big, yeah.
John. Big match John. Big match John gets in, gets his match over, gets Theory over in the process. At first, I wrote down, boo to the ref bump and the low blow. But, in hindsight later on, I kind of realized, no, that's the way that needs to go because, you have a Austin Theory getting a win over a John Cena through heel tactics, very appropriate ref bump, low blow. Now this kid's got a win over John Cena, and John Cena goes off to film another season of Peacemaker. So,
So, I actually had a note that I marked out as well because my first thing, like right before everything even gets started, is like champs should always come out last. And then they do this beautiful Make-A-Wish entrance where I'm
yes,
like, well, that's total class. Mark that out because that was awesome.
yes,
And to his credit, John Cena not only had a moment with each of those kids on the stage, called each of them by, like, he bothered to remember
mm-hmm.
every last one of their names. That was just totally classy. The match itself,
Absolutely.
quite honestly, was not all that much. They kept it simple, but they didn't need to complicate it because the fans were into everything that was going on. And John Cena hadn't wrestled a singles match in almost 2 years.
Right.
So with the crowd reaction, I did put this in my notes. What do you think about this? You got 90,000, almost 80 plus thousand. No Cena sucks chance, despite this being a smart mark international audience. Have we turned the corner to nostalgia where like now he comes around so rarely and all those people that used to bullying him have grown up so much that now there's a begrudging appreciation for John Cena after all these years?
I certainly fall into that camp of begrudging appreciation for Cena, but I did notice very early on the crowd, a very I won't say vocal minority because they got squashed, but there was a "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" chant trying to,
Time to break out.
more of a Cena sucks chant trying to break out, and I think the "Let's go Cena" people just never played into it. And they're like, okay, no, we're done with that.
Yeah, that was 15 years ago. We're not doing that anymore. But I mean, yeah, right guy goes over, and good on Cena. Peacemaker comes back, does the job for future of the business. I mean, legit future of the business.
Absolutely.
In Austin Theory. So I think I got this one wrong, by the way. But we'll pretend I got them all right since you weren't able to participate in our prediction show.
Even if I was, I probably wouldn't have remembered what you said or I said.
Well, that works out to my advantage. I will say that when it comes to NXT, by the way, just quick call out to the men and women of NXT fans. I know we're here to talk WrestleMania, but go see the NXT show that was on this afternoon. They raised a pretty high bar this morning, worth seeing. And I got all of those right but one. So much better than I did on my WrestleMania predictions. This is why I'm pointing that one out. Doug, Showcase men's tag team match. That's what they call it, the Showcase match. It was Strowman and Ricochet versus the Viking Raiders versus Alpha Academy versus the Street Profits, who come away with the win. I'm not sure why this wasn't just called a number one's contenders match or something to make it seem important. This whole multi-person Showcase match made it sound like it was some sort of exhibition throwaway contest. Something that should have been on a 2-hour kickoff show. However, this match actually exceeded any expectations you should have had for a match that really had no stakes. Like, this actually was a pretty high quality, nonstop action-packed match with some memorable spots.
I don't have a lot to say about this match. In my notes, I just have Otis with multiple exclamation points for some reason. I don't even remember what he did now for him to get that. But then it says, but I've got not bad, nothing super special though. That's all I have about this match.
So I think it over delivered in my mind. That there was this amazing rolling German by Chad Gable on Strowman. An impressive splash by Braun. That tower suplex spot that Ricochet dived into to get everybody over was pretty sweet. And then Ricochet just making a show of it in general. I will say that Peacock crapped out on me during this one, and I had to go to the phone while we rebooted and all that stuff. So boo on Peacock, but actually
Boo, Peacock.
Thumbs up for the match. And Doug, I think you probably put all those exclamation points not by Otis. I think you meant Otis.
My bad. Okay.
Otis. I'm just making sure we give credit to the right man.
Yes, sorry about that. Otis.
Street Profits with the win, not the number one contenders, just with the win. Seth freaking Rollins, Doug, against everyone's. Should we even call him a celebrity wrestler at this point? Has he probably raised the bar for what we should expect from a Logan Paul match to not say he does well for a celebrity?
McAfee, Bad Bunny, Logan Paul, these guys, I'm hard pressed to call them celebrity wrestlers. Part-time wrestlers, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's more fair because they don't wrestle like a celebrity wrestler. They don't. They
They
don't act
wrestle.
as if they don't belong.
They wrestle like your Cena. Well, now your Cena's, your Rocks, and all those that have returned from time to time. They well
Especially
perform.
Logan Paul. I mean, honestly,
Yes,
he's a cut above the others that if you just tuned in and didn't know, you would think he's been a part of the product for years now.
absolutely, absolutely.
And
Because I
legit, like, go away heat, not like you're cool or you're a celebrity, so we're going to boo you. Like, people genuinely dislike the guy, which actually makes him incredibly entertaining and rare in the world of professional wrestling, where we all can agree not to like somebody, despite the fact that we also
yes.
agree that they're good.
Yeah, but because it's not that Lisa Marie go away heat, it's that legit heel heat. But there's that hate, like I think a legit hate for the guy too, though, but not because he can't wrestle.
And right from the start of this one, Doug, the great heel tactic to have Paul recreate HBK's entrance from WrestleMania 12, coming
Uh-huh.
in from the ceiling, and then of course Seth comes out in the pink gear, so playing the Bret Hart role to the HBK
Hmm.
of. I mean, there was a lot of great entrances tonight, I will say.
Yeah.
Like some all-time WrestleMania entrances. We'll get to a few of those, but these two, this is where those great entrances really started. That I thought was pretty awesome. I will say that there was an issue throughout the night, and it's nothing on these men or this match or anything, but I don't know if you noticed this, Doug, but having so many cameras and the big WrestleMania production, they have way too many hot mics. when
Yes.
yeah, you noticed too.
Yes.
So when
Uh-huh.
Seth's saying kick and then Logan Paul, wow, he just gave him a kick. It's like, maybe don't turn the on ring mics on. Maybe just the ambiance around the ringside and not actually in
Yeah.
the ring to get the calling of the spots. It's hard enough when you're in front of 90,000 people to do that. But that said, the I did like the titanium screw in Logan's hand.
Very old school touch, right?
Yes,
Very old school.
the old school heels that he has a steel plate inserted in his
Yes.
forearm, which somehow makes it harder when he hits you.
I love that.
Yeah, you just buy into it too. You just accept, like, well, yeah, that's
Well,
it. That sounds
well, yeah,
right.
it's surgical titanium. Yeah, that's gonna hurt somebody if you get hit with.
Wonderful work by both men, honestly. Obviously, Seth is the ring general here, but Logan Paul absolutely plays second fiddle to no one. He just had a good ring
Yes.
general to lead him through a great match. I did the near falls were really believable in this one. There was that great splash spot. And I love
Hmm.
the ending, that great coast to coast that was countered into a
Yep.
stomp finish. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. This all came together. I love the inclusion of like KSI too, just to get another like. Oh no, it's another YouTuber.
Did you know who KSI was?
No.
I have to. Okay, no, I'm like, please tell me that's in your notes, because I'm like, I know whoever's in the suit has to like interfere at some point and be
Exactly. I,
somebody.
I was I was actually expecting it to be his brother, but
Oh,
we
yeah, that would have made sense too.
yeah, but KSI. Oh, okay.
I was like, okay, who's the returning? Who's the big surprise we're not expecting? And I'm like, I don't know who that is. And as soon as it says YouTube star, I'm like, Doug is the only YouTube star that I know other than myself. So, but good on KSI, right?
You're right. I do have in my notes now. WrestleMania is really starting, though. I think this really kind of like kicked things up, with
That
this
was the
match.
first long form match. The others
Hmm.
were, they could have been in the pre-show, and well, obviously you wouldn't put Cena in the pre-show, but that really wasn't
Right.
a whole. I mean, it was a soft opener.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
very fair, I do think that the show was paced nicely, that it seemed to build throughout the night.
Hmm.
And when there needed to be a cool down, they'd have a quick
Yes.
match that maybe didn't mean as much, but didn't distract, because honestly, you needed that for the pacing. Uh,
So true.
to which we go to the next match. Damage Control, surprise, surprise, takes the loss to Trish, Lita, and Becky. Again, a night of really cool WrestleMania entrances. I love the Sin City intro for the legendary team. That was really, really cool. All three heels in this one grew up watching Lita and Trish. How cool did it have to be for them to be in a
Right.
WrestleMania match against? I mean, Bayley has notebooks from her school days full of odes to these two women, and here she is at WrestleMania with them. Doug, this, I don't know what you thought of this one. To me, this was the come down. It was a feel good match that the fans were into. The legends looked, pretty good considering how much time they spent out of the ring, and then they get the feel good win.
Yeah, I've got my notes. Yeah, I just called it the girls trios match, but yeah, it was fun. It did what it needed to do. You know,
It did what it needed to do. Yeah.
and I definitely think it was fun. Is it match of the night? No, but it was fun and it did exactly what it needed to do. And that's not to take away from anything that it was.
No.
There's just some really great stuff that starts happening.
Some great stuff that starts happening, and from here on out, it's almost must see for me for the rest of this pay-per-view. Like, it was really that good. Ray versus Dom. First, the video package showing them was, I mean,
great.
Little 8-year-old Dom sitting there and like kissing his dad. I mean, and then the prison Dom entrance. Doug, one for the ages, right?
I love that, and I'm like, how do they top this? And I'm like, okay, Ray with Snoop. Oh, wait, whose music is that?
I mean, absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I mean, you have this incredibly cinematic, prison Dom, like, entrance piece, and then
Prison Dom has been one of the best things on TV in months anyway. So to just really play it up at WrestleMania was perfect. And I didn't realize it until I saw it called out that the mask that he had on was a sort of and again, this is for the hardcore, but like it was Ray's classic 1996 Halloween Havoc match in his contest with Eddie. That's what that mask was. So,
yeah. Deep cut.
Cut, man. And to me, I had this in my notes. I do not know how these two not only had such a great story that they told, how they kept from smiling, because it's a father and son working together in this environment, telling a story that the people are totally into and buying. 80,000 strong. Sis and mom are there at ringside, and it had to be hard to keep a straight face. They had to be just giddy the whole time.
I know. I thought about that, because they were WrestleMania last year, WrestleMania this year. It's such a hot story. And, to not smile, and I want to touch on this when you talk about another match, because I saw, in my mind, I was just kind of not disturbed, but thought, well, that's just odd, kind of cool, but really odd about the smiling that's going on post another match down the road here. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't know how they did not, just smile throughout. But this, again, it told a great story, told the story it needed to tell. It was just good stuff. The interaction at ringside with the family.
Dom got the spanking that he has long deserved, right? And you're right. The family, I mean, obviously they've been in the business their whole lives as well, but they played their roles as such, as if they had been in the business their whole lives. Both the daughter and the wife as well. There was a really wicked looking spot where Ray was catapulted into the turnbuckle that I legit thought the man had hurt himself, right?
Yes.
Of course, we had to get some Judgment Day involvement, but they get involved to stop the drop the dime. I actually, about this point, turned to my wife, who was watching with me, and said, I bet you Ray has asked that Dom goes over. I almost thought that Dom was going to win this one at Ray's insistence to help his son. But I did like the nice false finish with Dom's 619 and actually into the best frog splash Dom's ever pulled off. I've always kind of criticized because he always does the Eddie frog splash, and I never have felt that Dom had a very good frog splash. Tonight was the best that it ever looked.
But Dom kind of looks awkward because he especially I'm sure he's not like super tall, but next to Ray he looks super tall, and where Dom is like really lean too, he just kind of looks like really long and leggy and awkward anyway, and he just can't pull off that Eddie style frog splash. I know what you're talking about, man.
So Bad Bunny gets involved in this one, Doug, and it leads to
Yeah, he
another
does.
feel-good finish where Ray wins. But does the Bad Bunny involvement, knowing that he's hosting in Puerto Rico next month, does this mean we're going to get? Do you think it's a Ray Bad Bunny versus Judgment Day situation, or are we moving on?
You know what? We may stick around since we have like a reorganized Latino world order too. So
What did you think of that? That's WrestleMania
yeah,
adjacent. We had an
yeah,
LWO reunion. Well, I guess a recasting
yeah.
on Friday night. Uh, I
So
mean,
yeah, I'm cool with it. Let's see what happens with it.
if it gives the very talented members of El Delgado Phantasma
Hmm.
something to do, I'm with you. I
Yeah,
support it. Speaking of
yeah.
things I support, Doug, and I believe you're going to support this as well. Um, SmackDown Women's Championship match, Charlotte Flair defending against Rhea Ripley. Doug, first thing, do you feel that it's controversial in your mind that these women were not headlining? We've known who the headliner was going to be on Sunday night. They were really cagey about what was happening Saturday, and there's been some talk about internal debate as to who should close the show. This would be the first time in several years that the female performers didn't get at least one night as a main event. What did you think about them placing this before the end?
You know what? I went back and forth on this too because it almost seems poetic for the bloodline fall, which if there is a bloodline fall, if there's a bloodline fall to kind of like bookend to begin and end, if not day one and night two, maybe the beginning and end of night two, and have the ladies go on in the main event slot at least on one night, which we know what the main event is tomorrow night for sure. But
Yeah.
it also makes sense with storyline because I think the bloodline storyline is the biggest and dare I say best storyline in ages coming out of the WWE. So I think the storylines involved around it have to set at the top of the card both nights.
So the OCD side of me says world championships always main event. And the OCD side of me goes, if you're going to have two nights and have the men's world championship as your closer one night, the women's world championship should close on the other night. However, to your point, if you just go that the biggest and hottest story earns the main event, there's no way that you could say that Rhea versus Flair, the build up at least to the match, outdoes what Sami Zayn and the Bloodline have done. That is the top story in wrestling for the last 8 months, and therefore has earned that main event spot. That said, these women go out there
Oh,
and
man.
go, yeah,
Okay,
you
yeah,
say we're not the main event. We'll show you
exactly.
the main event.
Exactly, because I'm watching that and I'm realizing what at that point, okay, we know that these tag titles are the main event, but you would have thought this was the main event of night two, just blowing the roof off the place, leaving it all in the ring, over and done with. I thought, at one point, I just have written that DDT,
Oh, that
that
DDT, man.
DDT, that DDT.
I
I
love.
I thought people were going to die.
I could, at the start of it, when it was kind of methodical to begin with, I'm like, okay, they're pacing themselves for an epic. They're going to go
Uh-huh.
big, and they did. But there was the
Yes.
little call outs, the little slow things at first where like you're just picking up on like, okay, first she's got the CF on her boots. I've never seen that before. That's a nice subtle nod to her father's famous ring
Hmm.
gear. Uh, uh, she also did the whole like knee smash thing where you take the other opponent's leg, drape it on the rope, just like Rick used to do.
Hmm.
The flip over the turnbuckle, like there was a lot of call outs to her dad, obviously the chops. Rhea, though, apparently was using the Rudy Giuliani hair dye because she had that kind of look going on. But yeah, man, I have it in my notes too. Great counter of the Riptide into that DDT was absolutely the best. Amazing suplex from the top. Also, I had on my notes from Rhea on Charlotte, but there was a scary looking spot where Flair didn't seem to go all the way over and planted pretty much on her face.
Yes.
I mean, that's a couple inches away from a serious neck injury if she hadn't have made that revolution.
And then she had like ring burn, I guess like canvas burn after that, where after it on the bridge of her nose where she landed face first because her nose wasn't busted open, but there was like a rug burn or canvas burn.
Yeah, there's a canvas burn and there's like blood on her teeth. I mean, they looked like both of them looked like they had gone to war. There was at one point where, the crowd was, at first they were, I think, starting to fill 3.5 hours. And then these women absolutely picked up their pace, got into the next gear, and the crowd came right along with them.
Absolutely.
The great Riptide near fall, then the Riptide from the top for the win. I have here in my notes just all-time classic. Like they absolutely this was my match of the night. If we're just going on match quality and not just storytelling or feel goods or just pure match quality, these women showed themselves as the main event regardless of where they were positioned on the card.
I do not disagree with any of that because match of the night, quality wise, absolutely. I think story wise, we got one more, which I think bumps and kind of puts an exclamation point on why they were the main event because of just again the whole storyline aspect. But these girls, my goodness, turned in such an amazing match. I can't wait to see what Bianca and the Empress of Tomorrow do tomorrow.
You have to sit there and think as they watch it, thinking, "Oh crap, we got to go follow that tomorrow." I mean, it was a hold my beer, watch this kind of moment, as we like to say, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
The crowd, Doug. Before we move on, I would say the crowd wanted Rhea Ripley, even though Rhea's the heel in this scenario.
And absolutely, and this is what I was talking about. Reading Flair, I was having a hard time post match because Flair kind of just poor little Ashley Flair just kept looking back up at Rhea and just smiling. I'm like, you're supposed to be upset? You just lost. What are you doing?
Yeah. I was trying to think if it was just like almost a smirk as much as a smile as like, well, you got me, or exhaustion, like what am I going to do? Devil hurt do or something along those lines. But it was an interesting post-match reaction.
It really was because it's like, what is this? Did the Charlotte character just break?
Hey, after that contest, if she just broke, I mean, I was about broken after that.
Right?
And I think what they did here next, Doug, was actually smart because at first I'm like, this show's long enough. You don't need an impromptu Pat McAfee appearance against The Miz. At the same time, if you didn't put that brief little buffer in that was really more of an angle than it was a match, then the Usos and KO and Sami Zayn would have been put in kind of an impossible position.
Yeah. We needed that break. I needed that break at that point to get my kid to bed, so it worked out.
Your kid missed little Uzi Vert.
Yeah, little Uzi Vert. And I'm not sure, was that the whole song or was that just like the intro? I was confused by that. I don't know. Maybe I need to listen to some little Uzi Vert because
I actually was just pleasantly surprised. I'm thinking, man, it's getting late. Let's not do a performance. I'm like, okay, we're just doing a verse. It's an intro. I'm fine with it.
Okay, yeah, because I was not sure what was happening there. And then the Usos, and then it's day one. Okay, here we go.
And here we go to what, Doug, was the main event. And Sami Zayn may not have got Roman at WrestleMania, but who would have ever thought that Sami Zayn would legit headline a WrestleMania in his wrestling lifetime? And he did it tonight.
After last year's WrestleMania that he Yeah.
which was really his first. Like, I mean, he never even made the card before, so he was just probably
Uh-huh.
happy to be on a WrestleMania.
Sure.
And 1 year later, he's headlining WrestleMania. Maybe not the way we had all kind of had wanted it because of all the Sammy
Right.
love that we have around here, and all wrestling fans obviously have, as you could hear from that hyped up crowd
Yes.
tonight. I mean, that's the 4 hour mark. They should be tired, and the crowd stayed with this. Sneakily, and I say sneakily because it is kind of under the radar, because you would never think of him necessarily as always positioned around the like main event, but KO has now headlined 2 straight WrestleManias. It should be noted. So good on you, KO.
Absolutely.
Collect
It
those
is
paychecks.
it is KO Mania after all, or WrestleZania.
WrestleZania, Doug, for WrestleZania, they at first I thought like, okay, like the women, like their match was starting out like an epic, and this one was like instantly like we were already in top gear, and I thought, oh, are we
Mm-hmm.
out of time? This is not the old
Uh-huh.
pay-per-view days. Are they going to go to a quick finish on this? They didn't go for the quick finish. They just started in the next gear and just kept going in that gear.
Man, quick finish they did not. There were so many near falls at the end that I completely over and over bought into. The old Mark in me said this only ends one way, but every time, multiple times when it didn't end the way that I've like already said it ends this way, that's the only way it can end. I'm like, well, wait a minute, is KO going to get the pin over? Oh, what? No, that's not how I expected that.
This old Mark actually thought we're like 10 minutes in, and I'm thinking it was the end when they had that spine buster on the apron with Sammy, and then KO does the senton in the ring. I'm like, that's it. And then, of course, it wasn't
Uh-huh.
it. And good on Michael Cole, by the way, for bringing in an El Generico reference.
Yes.
And of
And
course,
Michael Cole was just firing on all cylinders all night too. So
let's yeah. A quick aside, since you bring that up, like apparently this is his 20th WrestleMania. They said, which is like the
hmm
record for most WrestleManias ever called. I actually was a little worried about Michael Cole because he was so great towards the end of that match, screaming and yelling and like really getting in to the point that I'm thinking, dude, you got to go do this 4 hours tomorrow. Like you're not going to have a
right.
voice if you keep up at that pace that you're going. There
hmm
was a really rough looking table break there for KO that
Man, I mean
exploded. It didn't just go through the table; it just
so
boom.
I'm watching that and I'm like, okay, they do that with such authority and put Kevin through that table and it looks so good, but I'm with you, it looked too good.
It looked a little
It
too
looked
good.
painful. Yeah.
And then Sammy kicks out of the 1D. I don't know if it really is the first time anyone's ever done that,
Uh
but they sold it like it was. And Michael
and
Cole's, the way he
hey,
sold it
hey,
like $1,000,000 made me believe it.
Cole said it because I was wondering the same thing, but Cole said it, so it must be true, Kevin.
Cole wouldn't lie. He wouldn't lie to us coal miners out there.
That's right, he would not.
Doug, do you think that the Young Bucks are going to sue for gimmick infringement on this one? Because there was pretty much a super kick party that broke out for like 80% of this match.
There were so many super kicks when Sammy finally got into position to do his Aluva kicks. I just expected him to do a gunshot, Kenny Omega like gunshot before he took off across the ring and kicked somebody.
Then it was not, I mean, there was not a moment to breathe in this one. You could maybe argue that they could have used a couple of moments to breathe, to build maybe, but they did start in top gear and just kept going in that
hmm
gear throughout. The stunner near fall had
Yeah.
Cole on his feet screaming in a way that really I had not heard him express before. And then there was
hmm
that great kick out of the double splash. I thought that was it, the double splash.
Yes. Yes.
Now the end
Yes.
may have been a little foreshadowed. By the time he got the second haluva kick, I'm like, there's no way this isn't the finish. So
Yeah.
even though you saw it coming, I think even that smile on his face before the third one gave you
Oh yeah.
that was the clue that even Sammy's like, yep, this is the end and this is going
Uh-huh.
really well for me right now. Well, and again, I turn to my wife on this one and go, like, those two guys are those guys that was in that pre-tape, like, acne faced kids that were like
Uh-huh.
wrestling in gyms and for nothing in Ring of Honor. And so I do believe that the emotion at the end,
Oh
that,
yeah.
yeah, this was obviously your sports entertainment finish where you told the story and the predetermined finish that finished the story that we wanted for Sammy. But those emotions, that was
Hmm.
real.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not sure where Sammy and KO go as far as how long they remain a tag team.
Hmm.
But as far as implications for tomorrow night, Doug, is this the beginning of doubt? I guess is that the what we'll play with tomorrow? The storyline being that you've let me down, you didn't take care of business, and now it's all on me, and that's just added weight on your tribal chief's shoulders tomorrow.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. At one, I wonder how they then play into things tomorrow. You know, if the travel, because I think that's exactly the way the character would go with this. Now it's all on me. Then they have to come out at some point to try and prove something. I'm sure Cody's going to have an uphill battle, but maybe he gets a little help from Sammy and KO. I don't know. I don't know how you book tomorrow night. You know,
Well, you weren't able to participate in our preview show, so since it's already a 12:30, why not? Let's
sure. Let's the
965 days. Common sense would say it's pretty much the end, and this is the story that's being told. The bloodline is crumbling. The first tower fell tonight, so naturally Roman's going to fall tomorrow night. Cody's going to finish the story, as he's been saying all along,
uh-huh.
do his father proud. His first ever world title match. I did not realize that. The first time in WWE
Mhm.
he's ever even had a world title match. It works so well for him to be the one now to take Roman the rest
Mhm.
of the way out, that there's a doubt in my mind that,
Yes.
and
Yes.
what if they don't? What if they like
Uh-huh.
take all of us smart marks, turn it on its head, and go, no, we're going to go for 1,000 days, maybe next Mania, because last Mania we were asking the same question. It's been a couple of years. People don't hold titles like that anymore. Maybe Lesnar
Mhm.
is the guy to, the immovable force meeting the unstoppable object kind of thing, and then it wasn't. So we all think it's Cody. I predicted Cody last week. I don't know if you think that's the way it's going to go, but I can't say that there's not a doubt in my mind that they could pull the rug out and end with the heel staying on top of all of this.
Well, I think Jimmy and Jay are going, like you've already said, storyline wise, Jimmy and Jay have something to prove to the tribal chief now that they're still useful, really. Yeah, Solo Sokoa is not doing anything but hanging out somewhere backstage. You're just waiting to intervene too. And then you'll have Paul Heyman at ringside. I don't, but do you want to complicate it and overbook it like that? To to do all that just to get Roman over Cody, or have Cody overcome all these things on his own, or with Sammy and KO's help? Does that, for me, it's difficult to book, you know, either
It's
way,
yeah.
at this point.
What While it seems like it should be obvious, there's nothing about it that makes me 100% confident that I'm right in my prediction that it couldn't go the other way. Not just the spite wrestling fans, just because honestly Roman has earned a right to finish
Hmm.
his story. And if that story is supposed to be The Rock at some point, or they know things that we don't about like future opponents, or Cody making his big comeback from injury only to fail his father. I mean, there's a lot of other ways you could go with this that doesn't end
Absolutely.
in Cody winning. So that's the great thing about wrestling. Just when you think you have it all figured out, they at least need to have a seed of doubt that they plant, or otherwise, why would we bother to watch?
Just when we think we've got it figured out, they change the questions.
I do know one thing, Doug. Night two has got a lot to live up to, because night one was pretty much, there's nothing I would say was skippable, and it just got better as it went along, which isn't usually the case. There's usually dips in quality when you have such a long show, but this night kept me entertained
Uh-huh.
all the way through.
Of course, tonight we didn't have Lesnar and Amos or Amos or
Yeah,
whatever Lesnar calls him.
that's true.
So we've got that to look forward to tomorrow night.
In addition, though, to the match that isn't going to be that great, and the one that we are all looking forward to at the end of the weekend, guessing how it's going to end, that Hell in a Cell match could be a quiet
Hmm.
scene stiller as well. Going
Yeah.
to eat up a lot of time, and as you said, maybe not the same high stakes that we had with a Charlotte versus a Rhea redo, but Bianca and Asuka could also come
Hmm.
out there and
Hmm.
really set a bar that might be hard for people to pass. It's going to be another fun night. I'm looking forward to it, especially if the LA crowd brings it like they did tonight.
Absolutely, and more excitedly than WrestleMania at this point, I'm already looking forward towards the Raw after WrestleMania because that's when things really get crazy.
Yeah, Braun Breaker did lose his title today,
That's what I'm
so
saying, man.
Braun Steiner might be on Monday nights. Who knows?
Ah, if
Doug,
only.
we will be on Monday night, like Monday, like early morning, I should probably
Yeah,
say.
probably
Very
probably about
likely
midnight
midnight
again.
again.
Yep.
Uh, but fans, thank you for tuning in to these old marks talking WrestleMania Night 1. Join us tomorrow night where we finish our week-long coverage of WrestleMania as soon as the pay-per-view ends. Please drop your thoughts in your comments here on the channel, and we will answer them all. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night and another. Hopefully, with this hyped, I thought I'd be more tired. I'm actually like
Me
energized.
too. All right, but I took a nap so I could do this. So
Let's all go take naps and let's do it again tomorrow, Doug. What do you say?
let's do it. Go
All
go
right,
watch some
fans.
wrestling or get some sleep would probably be
Get some
better at this
sleep.
point. So you can watch wrestling tomorrow.
That's
Good
right.
night,
That's what we're
everybody.
doing. Good night.